Hi, I'm Ryan Graham. Welcome to Northwest Newsweek. The town of Marathon is under fire for comments made at a recent council meeting. During budget discussions about the town's water treatment strategy, someone off camera was heard saying Marathon is, quote, the wrong color to get provincial funding. The mayor insists that comment was made in reference to the political affiliation of the area's MPP, but the chief of a neighboring First Nation doesn't buy it, and he says he's suspending any joint projects between the two communities. Joey Langdon has more.
The controversial comment was made at a Town of Marathon budget meeting on January 26th by an undisclosed person during a discussion about provincial money for water infrastructure.
How often do those funding opportunities come?
Well, they come on all the time.
We're just the wrong color.
Well, I wouldn't say we're just not successful.
We're not successful, that's correct. Sorry, I guess we are lying. My apologies there.
Okay.
Mayor Rick Dumas issued a statement soon afterwards, insisting that the person speaking was referring to political colors, as in the electoral map. Marathon has an orange NDP member, rather than one from the governing blue PC party, which Dumas ran for in 2025. He apologized for the misunderstanding, but Big Tagong Nishnabek Chief Duncan Mishano isn't buying that explanation. He feels the comment was in reference to their recent successful funding application to replace the First Nations water treatment system. Mishano released a statement saying, Big Tagong Nishnabek did not receive that funding based on skin color. It was awarded because of a concerted and skilled campaign and application process by both Big Tagong political leaders and administrative staff working together for the betterment of community. I cannot see how we can work together when that trust has now disappeared. The general feeling is that Big Tagong is being used. Big Tagong has no choice but to suspend any support or funding for projects that were proposed until such a time that there is a reset in the relationship. In 2024, Big Tagong Nishnabek pledged $1 million in financial support for Marathon's new active living center. Dumas is out of the country and was unavailable for an interview. Marathon CEO Daryl Swarczynski says that their council will be meeting in the near future to review the strongly worded statement from Mishano and an appropriate response will be issued by the municipality at that time. Joey Langdon, TBT News.
A tragic collision between a transport truck and an SUV took the lives of 3 Northern Ontario residents last weekend. OPP have identified the deceased as a 36-year-old woman from Greenstone, a 36-year-old Kenora man, and a 57-year-old man from Constance Lake First Nation. The fatal crash happened around 6 o'clock on the evening of Saturday, January 31st on Highway 11 between Hearst and Long Lac. The transport driver wasn't injured. A family member of the 3 victims in the SUV has posted on social media, saying they were all returning from a funeral in Arrowland First Nation at the time of the crash. OPP are asking eyewitnesses or anyone with dash cam footage to come forward. Federal Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu said this week that she'd meet with officials from Thunder Bay Pulp and Paper and the province in the coming days. The meetings come after the recent announcement that the company will cease newsprint production later this month. Hajdu says she wants to help struggling mills diversify, but the region's Conservative MP questions her government's track record. Reagan Johnson reports.
On January 22nd, Thunder Bay Pulp and Paper announced that it would permanently be halting paper production sometime in the middle of February, leaving the facility to operate as a pulp mill only. It means that about 150 people at the mill will soon be out of work, and it marks the end of 100 years of newsprint production at that mill. Federal Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu says it's a disappointing situation, which has been looming for several years.
This is not a tariff-related problem. This is a demand problem. In fact, many of our mills produce pulp for paper product, and in particular newsprint product. Pulp has declined because viewers have changed the way that they consume news and media. And so many of these large employers are critically important to the Northern Ontario economy. I've been working with Kevin Holland and the province of Ontario. They do have a forestry strategy, and we will be all meeting together very soon to see how we can help each other.
On Parliament Hill, the Conservative MP for Kenora-Kiiwetinoong, Eric Melillo, pointed to the newsprint mill closure as another economic hit to this region, following similar shutdown announcements for the Ear Falls Sawmill and Domtar Ignace Sawmill. He accused the Carney government last week of doing little but paying lip service to the crisis.
Ear Falls Sawmill has been shut down since October. The Ignace Mill is expected to close in March, and now 150 people will be affected by the closure of a line at Thunder Bay Pulp and Paper. Mr. Speaker, every day more closures are announced, and these are good-paying jobs for hard-working Canadians that are now gone. The government's rhetoric about supporting workers is not matching the reality of the workers who are losing their jobs. Conservatives stand ready in this House to support government actions that will save forestry jobs.
I've also been in touch with Thunder Bay Pulp and Paper on a regular basis. I believe I have another meeting with them this Friday. And again, the conversation will be, what do they need from the federal government to support their work to pivot to new products? We know this is a critically important industry, not just in Northern Ontario, by the way, but across the country. And our goal is to help as many viable companies that are experiencing this kind of decline, in particular in this product, have the breathing room and the tools they need to be able to pivot to new product and new markets.
Reagan Johnson, TBT News.
The Transportation Safety Board has released its investigation report into a CN train derailment in the Fort Frances area this past summer. It happened on June 28th near Devlin. The eastbound train was traveling on a curve when 13 hopper cars filled with grain came off the tracks. Most of the derailment cars were damaged, but fortunately there were no injuries. The TSB probe found some of the rail anchors in that area had shifted 10 to 15 centimeters before the derailment due to what's referred to as rail creep. That's caused by compressive stress when trains carry heavier loads in one direction. The TSB is recommending that CN Rail conduct more track inspections and maintenance on the Fort Frances subdivision to reduce the risk of derailments. The price of gold remains strong, reaching another record high last month. The number of mining projects here in northwestern Ontario has grown rapidly over the last decade or so. The Thunder Bay CEDC reflected that mining boom in its latest map of the potential projects in this region. Joey Langdon reports.
The seeds for what could be considered a modern-day gold rush have been planted in the rocky outcrops of the vast Northwest. The price of gold recently surged over $5,500 an ounce U.S. before falling down below $5,000 this week. The CEDC's recently released 2026 mining map shows dozens of exploration projects around the region, along with 8 operating gold mines and 3 other mines. The Community Economic Development Corporation CEO Jamie Taylor tells us that northwestern Ontario's biggest hub, Thunder Bay, and other regional communities stand to benefit from mining expansion and gold trading for the entire region.
They should take a look at what's happening around us, and all of that activity benefits Thunder Bay. Whether or not you're a student looking at what your career path should be, mining is a great opportunity. Whether or not you're an entrepreneur looking at developing a business, or whether or not you're just interested in what the price of gold is and where you should be putting your investments.
Well, this year's annual map update is limited to a few projects being renamed as sites change hands between various mining conglomerates. The rising price of gold has led to prospecting and exploration kicking into high gear, and some exploration projects, which have been waiting years to come to fruition, could now move into construction sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we're really tracking Kinross, the Great Bear project, just outside of Red Lake. That's what we feel is probably the next big one. Gold mining, as you know, gold is high, right? So I don't think they can develop that mine fast enough right now.
Along with current and potential gold mines, the map also shows 5 major projects in the Ring of Fire region for nickel, chromite, and other minerals. And then there are numerous lithium deposits which could be soon developed, as plans for refineries in Thunder Bay continue to take shape. Joey Langdon, TBT News.
The province's Special Investigations Unit says OPP officers in Rainy River acted reasonably during an incident last October that left a woman with a fractured knee. Police used a spike belt to stop a stolen vehicle after the driver refused to stop for officers on Highway 621. The vehicle eventually slid into a ditch several minutes after it hit the spike belt, at which point the driver was arrested. The passenger suffered the knee injury and was taken to hospital. The SIU says there's no basis to lay charges against the officers. Moving on. A Kenora man was arrested this past Wednesday night on several gun charges. OPP responded to a call for service involving a suspect with a firearm around 9 p.m. in the Cambion Drive area in Kenora. Police located the male with a loaded firearm and engaged in a short foot pursuit before bringing him into custody. A prohibited handgun was seized by police. The 21-year-old man has been charged with several gun-related charges, including careless use of a firearm, carrying a concealed weapon, and possession of a loaded prohibited firearm. The accused appeared in court in Kenora on Thursday. The House of Commons returned to session after the winter break recently, and MP Patty Hajdu introduced new legislation that will have an impact on cost of living across the country. More after the break.
We're really pleased to hear that all parties will support this legislation so that we can get that money out into the hands of Canadians very soon.
Welcome back. Members of Parliament recently returned to the House of Commons after a 6-week winter break. Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Hajdu, the Minister of Jobs and Families, introduced legislation for the Groceries and Essentials benefit. Regan Johnson spoke to Hajdu about the new cost of living measures.
Minister Patty Hajdu says she's working to make essentials more affordable for Canadians who are dealing with high food costs. The Liberal MP for Thunder Bay Superior North recently introduced the Groceries and Essentials benefit, which will be accessible over 5 years to more than 12 million Canadians. The opposition parties are supporting the legislation, according to Hajdu.
We're really pleased to hear that all parties will support this legislation so that we can get that money out into the hands of Canadians very soon. We really hope that we'll see better collaboration from, in particular, the Conservatives this Parliament. There has been quite a bit of obstruction, whether it's on crime and safety bills or other affordability measures or even the budget itself. And we hope that we'll have a collaborative session this period because, of course, Canadians are counting on all of us to make sure that we have the right tools in place as we fight this economic war.
The legislation will be delivered through the former GST credit mechanism. Hajdu says this initiative builds off of other programs such as $10 a day affordable childcare in Ontario and the National Dental Care Program.
This is obviously not just for low-income Canadians. This is for Canadians without a plan. So it could be small business owners, it could be retired seniors, it could be families with children. And so the measures that we're putting into place are really to help Canadians with the cost of living by relieving some of the economic pressures they face in their day-to-day life so that there's better purchasing power by families to, acquire the things and the services that they need.
All of these programs and initiatives come with the goal of helping Canadians cope with inflation. Regan Johnson, TBT News.
A neighborhood in Ignace has suffered freezing water lines for many years. But now, thanks to the incoming windfall from hosting the nuclear waste repository nearby, the municipality now has the budget to work towards fixing it. The water main below Willow Place consistently struggles to stay operating at this time of year due to the northwestern Ontario cold snaps. Standard anti-freezing devices just aren't getting the job done, and various Band-Aid solutions have been applied over the years. But a recent Ignace council meeting, the municipality decided to hire an engineering firm to conduct a study on how best to permanently fix it.
Freezing water lines have been an issue for several years before I came to Ignace. So it's important for us to see exactly what the issue is so that we can solve it now that we have the opportunity, looking at our asset management plan and kind of pre-planning some investment and repairs, that it gets done properly and gets done right and solves the problem rather than just being a Band-Aid solution. And now that we've got some funds coming in through our hosting agreement, it's important that we make informed financial decisions for where those investments and infrastructure repairs need to go.
The next steps for the municipality will be retaining an engineering firm to come to Ignace to do the job. The Kenora District Services Board has released its latest report on homelessness in the western part of the region. And while the study shows fewer people are experiencing homelessness in the Kenora District, officials say the numbers still reflect a concerning crisis. The report counted 344 people experiencing homelessness, down from 500 last year. KDSB Executive Director Sarah Stevenson says that number doesn't reflect the true homeless population across the district. It leaves out people declining to seek out assistance services and those couch surfing or in temporary housing.
I do think that it's undercounting, even compared to the data that we were able to collect in 2024 and the number of surveys that were able to be completed. It is a single point in time on that one day for each of the municipalities. That's the way that it is conducted. For general public to know, I think it's important that they understand that all of these services are trying to work collaboratively together in order to make a difference in their communities.
The full report can be seen on the KDSB website, which breaks down results from the study for each of the communities in the Kenora region. Business leaders from across the region recently gathered at the Valhalla Hotel for a conference focused on growth, opportunities, and collaboration. Max Silverstein attended the Prosperity Northwest event and tells us how the business sector continues to evolve.
The Prosperity Northwest Conference and Trade Show filled the Valhalla Hotel, bringing together business, government, and Indigenous leaders to talk about the future of economic development across the region. Hosted by the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with the Anishinaabe Business Professional Association, the two-day event focused on building partnerships and creating sustainable growth in key sectors like mining, energy, and forestry.
Certainly the focus on mining continues to grow, especially with the trade challenges with the U.S. We know critical minerals are going to be essential to us sort of building our economic sovereignty and us taking control of how they're processed and those sorts of things.
We're very proud of the partnership we created with the Chamber of Commerce. I've been a longtime member of the Chamber and very proud to be a founding member of the Anishinaabe Business Professional Association. And this event, has been successful right from the get-go, and for us it's vitally important, especially right now with all the different and positive energy around the developments from mining to energy to different infrastructure.
This year's agenda includes panel discussions on trade and U.S. tariffs, innovation in northwestern Ontario, and notably, the proliferation of industries winning contracts with the Department of National Defence, which Thompson believes the region can benefit from.
There is a tremendous amount of opportunities. I don't think it's just necessarily Indigenous. I also think non-Indigenous and people in the North don't realize there's a strong opportunity, and we're very fortunate to be tied in with a lot of great friends and colleagues who work in the defense sector, some more specifically even with NATO, right? And we see those opportunities, and I think the opportunity, and what I encourage my colleagues, is to get out there and participate.
Today we've got some folks to talk about defense opportunities, which is another thing that's really been under the radar for the last number of years, and the government is making a very focused effort to reinvest in our military. And so when the government's spending, there's opportunities for business. So how can we make sure that Northwestern Ontario businesses can be part of that, get into those opportunities?
The Prosperity Northwest Business Conference and Trade Show connected attendees with 68 exhibitors as business leaders across Northwestern Ontario continue to meet to discuss the future of the region. Max Silverstein, TBT News.
Ontario Provincial Police have charged a man with animal cruelty after a pair of dogs were found inside an unheated vehicle during northwestern Ontario's most recent cold snap. Officers from Nipigon were called about a pair of short-haired boxers which had been left in minus 18 degrees Celsius temperatures inside the vehicle for at least 2 hours. The suspect was later found at a home that he had been court-ordered not to attend. A 25-year-old man was charged with several animal cruelty offenses and remanded into custody. The dogs were unharmed and taken into the care of a Nipigon resident. KCATS revealed a new space in the Mattawa Training and Wellness Center and dedicated it to a late former chief in the region. More on that after the break.
She did a lot to touch the hearts of different people in their lives.
Welcome back. KCATS, an Indigenous Employment and Training Service, has dedicated a new space inside its office in the Mattawa Training Center to a former Ganuguming First Nation chief who passed away a few years ago. KCATS dedicated its new innovation room in memory of the late chief Celia Eacham. Not only did she lead Ganuguming for 13 years, from 2007 until her death in 2020, she was also one of 4 founders and a longtime board member of KCATS. The organization says her leadership had a lasting impact on First Nations employment, training, and wellness. Executive Director David Negan, along with fellow leaders, say Eacham's lifelong dedication and vision was instrumental in the creation of KCATS. And her son, Derek Eacham, notes she touched the lives of so many.
In terms of this room, what it represents is it's our innovations room, and that this is where we're actually taking new innovative approaches to kind of solve in terms of what's happening in our First Nations. And we thought it was very appropriate to name this room very specifically after Celia, because it was her vision in terms of building a capacity, employment training, wellness, and food security for all of the communities of Mattawa First Nation.
She was an instrumental leader for the community. She provided guidance for many members of the community, whether in a family role, a leadership role. It's just very complete. She did a lot to touch the hearts of different people in their lives. And moving forward, she's always going to be there to support KCATS and what has she done in life.
Negan says the new innovation room will help KCATS continue to provide forward-thinking employment and training solutions that embody Chief Eacham's dedication to empowering First Nations people. A Thunder Bay man is the latest winner of the Dryden 50/50 draw for January. The monthly fundraiser supports the Dryden Regional Health Services Foundation. Derek Reynelt thought the phone call was a prank when fundraising coordinator Jamie Raelian called him about winning the grand prize.
Is this a joke?
It's not a joke, Derek. Congratulations. You are our grand prize winner of the January Dryden Regional Health Services Foundation 50/50. You are now $134,652.50 richer.
Oh my God. Are you sure this doesn't matter? Somebody pulled my leg? Because I know my friends would really mess with me like this, so I'm kind of having a hard time believing it.
Fortunately, I'm not pulling your leg, Derek. I see you bought your ticket on January 6th. I'm happy to tell you that this time it definitely paid off for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. It's amazing.
A 25-year-old driver faces several charges after failing to remain at the scene of a collision on the evening of Friday, January 30th. Scriber OPP responded to a collision on Highway 17 between a pickup truck and a van. Police say the van was passing a transport around a curve in the road in the oncoming traffic lane when the van and pickup side swiped one another. The driver of the van left the scene but was later found by Nipigon OPP officers and faces several charges, including leaving the scene of a crash, careless driving, and failing to wear a seatbelt. Fortunately, nobody was injured in the crash. That's all the time we have for now for Northwest Newsweek. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.